everyone, welcome back to Art a la Carte, and I am in the midst of working on my 5 sketches for Inktober. So in September I did 30 sketches, and then of those 30, 5 were voted to move on to Inktober, so that's what I'm working on. And I find that as I am working on the sketches and moving them into a finished ink piece, that they change a lot. And for some reason, an overwhelming theme that I find in these sketches is flowers. Lots and lots of flowers. I mean, like a lot of flowers. So many flowers. Maybe too much. Can it be too much? I don't know. I wanted to show you how I set up my flower line art, teach you how to draw a few of the flowers, and give you some tips and tricks with that. Originally, I thought I would show you a whole bunch of flowers, but really I got 2 in. The first flower that I want to show you how to draw is the forget-me-not, which is one of my favorite flowers to use in pieces because the flower itself has a lot of meaning, the name itself, and then also it's kind of a sad flower. It's often been referred to as the funeral flower. So I like to use it a lot, especially in kind of somber-ish pieces. But anyway, back to drawing. I'm going to break these down into a couple of different parts. So part 1, get to know your flower. Whether you are drawing roses or daisies or hibiscus, look at some reference photos and get to know your flowers. How many petals? What does the centers look like? What do the leaves, the stalks, the stems look like? Next is to rough out your sketch. Oftentimes when we go into doing our drawing, even a serious sketch, we want to just jump into the detail. One thing I find is that it's super easy to get your flowers off balance. So start with those really basic shapes. When I draw my forget-me-not, I start off with a round disc shape. This is going to center where the whole flower is going to be. From there, I put in the center of the flower and then kind of block out where I want my petals. When you're working with a flower like a forget-me-not that has an uneven amount of petals, they have 5, it can be a little bit challenging to divide your circle up into 5 equal portions. So don't worry about being neat and tidy. Be messy if you need to, especially if you're drawing digitally like I am. It's really easy just to create layer upon layer so you can kind of clean up your work afterwards. That brings us to the next step, which is decide on the level of detail. When you are creating a picture that has multiple flowers, knowing how much detail you're going to put into each individual flower can determine how long it's going to take you to finish your piece. So this piece that I'm working on, I knew there was going to be a lot of flowers. Quantities, but types of flowers as well. And it can be really easy to over detail your line art. I'm making these pieces to be coloring book pages, so while I want detail, I want people to be able to color them. If there's so much detail and they print it off and you just can't even get your crayon or color pencil into the detail, that doesn't make for a great piece, especially when you're working with forget-me-nots, which are super tiny in comparison to all of my other flowers. Now, if you're wanting to create more than one flower, a good tip is to use your overlapping. Instead of just creating a flower next to another flower, have that flower overlap another flower. By connecting or overlapping helps to build connectedness. So here's a bonus tip. Sometimes our flowers aren't looking directly at us. So you see the little flower at the bottom there is kind of curved. So think of that as a 3-dimensional shape. I'm going to draw a bowl and use that bowl to help me to bend and wrap my flower petals up around my actual flower, so they're not just straight on looking at you. Have your flowers turning in different directions. I even sometimes will have flowers pointing in the completely opposite direction. That adds a little bit more realism to your drawing and interest into your picture as well. So let's move on to our second flower I'm going to teach you, and that is super similar, which is the cosmos. So this flower, I'm going to do all the same steps that I did with the forget-me-not. I'm going to go through and really study my flower. This one has 8 petals, a really cute little center, but the petals themselves are really, really ruffly. The trick I want to teach you in this one comes when you are actually adding in your inked in line, and that's your line weight can help you add detail. So line weight, if you're drawing traditionally, a lot of artists will use like a brush pen, and the harder you push on your pen, the thicker your line will be. And the lighter that you touch the paper with the pen, the lighter, the thinner your line's going to be. With digital art, you can find pens that have a nice pressure sensitivity and you can get that nice line weight. So you'll see that as I am drawing it, I don't want just a sharp, solid line. You'll see I kind of wiggle my line weight around, and that gives it a more organic feeling, less like it's a manufactured flower. The next part is a detailing tip. This really helps if you want a flower that has super thin petals and you want that kind of almost crepe paper effect. Also, if they have nice veins in them or a good texture to the petal, I'm going to use some lines to create that detailing. I'm going to go around the edges and find areas that I can connect a line with it and bring it down into the center. Now, because Cosmos have a darker pigmentation towards the center of the flower, I'm going to use that line weight and add a thicker line weight as I get towards the center, which creates a visual depth to that. It also pushes in the flower itself. I'm not going to get into how to color flowers and things like that, but if that's something that you'd be interested in on painting or coloring flowers, I want to do a few more videos where I share some of my flower drawing techniques and different types of flowers. So post in the comment section below, what is your favorite flower that you would like to learn how to draw? Make sure to hit the subscribe and notification bell, that way you don't miss out on any future videos, because coming up soon is going to be all of my Inktober pictures, and one of those is going to move on to Huevember, which I'm going to add full color to. So until that video, thank you guys for hanging out with me. God bless you guys. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.